Our final unit for quarter one is on cellular respiration, and it comes out of chapter 7 in your book. So make sure you refer to chapter 7 as you follow along with the notes. So, a question for you is, how does dough rise, and how would this be relevant to this unit? So, the dough is rising just sitting on the counter. Why and how does that happen? We actually will answer that question in this unit. All right, so a reminder as well that all cells, both plant and animal cells, have mitochondria, which we identified in Unit 2. Now remember that a bacteria, a prokaryote, does not have organelles like that. So we will, a prokaryote will have to do something different than the eukaryotes do. So overall, the concept is that all organisms, all cells need ATP, that lovely ATP molecule. So how are they going to make ATP? That's what we're talking about today. So the cellular respiration is a process in which cells produce ATP by breaking down organic molecules. And the main organic molecule we use is glucose, but other organic molecules can be broken down as well. So autotrophs, remember, produce their own food. Why? That glucose that they produce is what they're going to use to make ATP. So they are making it for themselves, where heterotrophs are going to have to consume food. So we're going to have to somehow find it from something else, eat another organism or consume another organism in order to get the food that we need. But both autotrophs and heterotrophs perform cellular respiration, right? All organisms on planet Earth need ATP. They must make ATP somehow. They must do cellular respiration. So here are pictures of bacteria. They do cellular respiration. Here's pictures of protists, those single cell organisms. They do cellular respiration. So protists also include the algae. And then here are some fungi. And mold is in the fungi category. So fungus is, they all do cellular respiration. Plants, yes, right? Plants do cellular respiration. Animals, absolutely, do cellular respiration. Insects, sponges, these are all animal kingdom animals, right? Worms, sea stars, all do cellular respiration. So remember that cellular respiration and photosynthesis are the opposite reactions. So now we're going to focus in on the top reaction where you take glucose and 6 oxygens with some enzymes. We're going to turn it back into 6 carbon dioxides and 6 waters, plus that really important molecule ATP. So just remember that the relationship is that they are the product and the reactants of each other. So for cellular respiration, there are 2 parts. All organisms do glycolysis. So we'll talk about glycolysis first. This is not where the oxygen comes into play. It's just where we break down the glucose into something called pyruvic acid or pyruvate, depending upon which book you're reading. And we're producing very small amounts of ATP, and we're going to make something, or we're going to see a new carrier, NAD, which will be carrying the electrons and the hydrogen ion when it becomes NADH. Then we have part 2, For multicellular organisms, they're going to do aerobic respiration. That's where oxygen is required. That is where pyruvic acid is going to be making a huge amount of ATP and NADH. And then, or for probably smaller single cellular organisms, they do anaerobic respiration, which means that they're doing respiration without oxygen and basically just breaking down the pyruvic acid to get back up into glycolysis, be ready for glycolysis again. So again, glucose is broken down in glycolysis to make pyruvic acid, and then there's two choices for the pyruvic acid. Either it's going to go into aerobic respiration when oxygen is present, and we're going to make a lot of ATP, or we're just going to break it down and recycle it and then not make very much ATP. We only make 2. So remember that we are still going to have this whole concept of a redox reaction. Now we're going to oxidize glucose, which means glucose is losing its electrons, and then oxygen is going to be reduced, which means it's going to gain electrons, right? So again, glucose is oxidized and oxygen will be reduced. So here's your cellular respiration equation. 1 glucose and 6 oxygens make 6 carbon dioxides, 6 water, and then ATP, the most important part.